Hey, what's up, weirdos? Don't tell me. I know. It's been a while. Give your boy a break. I've been busy. Welcome to another episode of Digital Whiteface. It's your boy Poe here again, back again with another introduction to the wide world of edgy comic books. Now, you know how I feel about indie comic books, right? Or maybe you don't. Well, if I haven't told you, I believe that graphic literary media is the ideal form in which one can tell the deconstructed, reconstructed, politically thematic, and beautifully gory works of superhero storytelling that you just can't get from the big two. Well, I'm sticking to that theme. Because today, we're talking about a personal favorite of mine. Yeah, today, we're talking about one book in particular, a book set in the dark, scary times known as the early 2000s. That's right, back when we learned jet fuel can melt steel beams, and the vice president could shoot his best friend in the face and not get in trouble for it. I'm talking about Cla War, a book that asked the question, what if the US government invented superheroes just in time to use them to invade Iraq? Scary, right? Now, Cla War as a comic had a lot to say about the US during the early 2000s, and a lot to criticize. Whether it was about the actions of our country overseas, the things the US was doing at home, all the way down to the outright corruption of the entire United States political system, and the way the media conspired to keep things that way. And it wasn't alone in doing so. Books like Black Summer, The Authority, and even Marvel's Supreme Power and Ultimates had their own bones to pick with Bush-era America. Now, for the Zoomers in the audience, you gotta realize that these books weren't just talking to talk. The political landscape of the early 2000s was a weird thing, okay? The United States was dealing with 9/11,
Turn on the TV, they hit the Pentagon!
the War on Terror, the Patriot Act, the invasion of Iraq, and the constant fear-mongering about terrorism to push politics the way they wanted. Basically, all of this was driving people crazy, especially with the propaganda. Like, goddamn Disney Channel, Freedom Fries, a whole lot of nonsense, okay? Because of this, a lot of people saw through the crazy that the government and the media were trying to force on the people, and all those people had a lot to say. Comic book creators, no exception to this. And they used their platform to let it be known how they felt. And they hit hard. So it really shouldn't come as a surprise that in 2002, the comic book world was introduced to Cla War. Cla War tells a very simple story. The story of the American, a government-made patriotic Superman who becomes disillusioned with the United States and its abuse of power. Now, I'm gonna spoil a good chunk of this comic, so you know, you can leave, I guess. Anyway, there was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they could become something more. So when we needed them, they could fight the battles that we never could. The US government manufactured this team and named them Enola Gay. Yes, Enola Gay, as in the plane that dropped the first nuke during World War II. Effectively hired killers given superpowers on behalf of a corrupt government, this team was put together and then deployed in Iraq during the Persian Gulf War. In 2 days, the War on Terror was over, and the US was cemented as an unchallenged superpower worldwide. The team was then used to engage in peacekeeping on behalf of the state at home, used to demolish the LA riots and the Waco siege because, you know, why not? 6 members deep, most of the team are unrepentant assholes of the highest order. First, we have the American, a Superman/Captain America pastiche with the weaker version of Big Blue's power set, including the heat vision. Strong, fast, and powerful, he's considered naive, below average in intelligence, and outright gullible, simply for having the ideals he was raised with. Next up is the young American, If you can't already guess, he's just the American's mini-me. Basically 90s Superboy in personality, taken a bit more realistically, with all the implied and stated drinking, drug abuse, and philandering one would expect from a party boy superhero. Third in line is Icon, a sociopathic superwoman with a heart about as dead as her ability to feel. She's strong, she's fast, she can fly. And apart from that, that's pretty much it. Coming up next is Heavyweight, a vainglorious jerk who rose from the streets to boxing stardom. He has super strength and size-changing abilities, and he lives up to his name. Then we have Burner, basically a psychopathic man-child with the power of, you guessed it, pyrokinesis. He's a barely restrained, bitter pyromaniac. Kind of an annoying character, honestly. Last up is Confusion, a brain-addled telepath, barely cognizant of events, but she seems to be the most sympathetic out of a bad bunch. The six of them together are Enola Gay, living nukes empowered to inflict violence on behalf of the United States government. Long story short, they're a powerful team of killers that the US juiced up with superpowers and sent onto the battlefield and onto the world stage at large. Like I mentioned before, their leader is the American. Unlike the rest of the team, he's been active since the 80s, while the others have only been a thing since the early 90s. So not only does he have more overall power, he's a good bit more experienced than the rest of the team. Notably, he's the only member of them with actual combat experience against another superhuman, as the American fought against one of the few super soldiers in existence to the death. A man known simply as the Russian, his counterpart. But enough about that. Bursting into Iraq like a fox in a henhouse, the team tore through the regular human forces that the Iraqis could bring to the fight, and did so with gusto and glee, in a way that let everyone know that there was nothing to be done against the team. After all, these are living nukes in human form. They're called Enola Gay for a reason. Basically an unstoppable force that the world can't really manage to keep up with, Enola Gay was then used worldwide as the front line of all American forces, as well as for domestic purposes, all for the purpose of bringing order to a chaotic world, aka anywhere in the world that doesn't accept America as their undisputed Lord and Savior. However, one of the members started to drift from the line the government had them toe. After finding out that America isn't as good as he was indoctrinated to believe, one of them decided to do something about it, rather than revel in wealth, women, and whatever else there is. The American decided to do something about it. It's at this point that Cla War opens in the same location any political movie ever has to include, the Lincoln Memorial, with a guy wearing the coolest jacket I've ever seen standing in front of it. Seriously, that's a really cool jacket. I mean, look at it. Anyway, serious discussions start taking place, and it's clear something real is going down. We're introduced immediately to two central figures of this story, Isaac and the American, as they discuss the truth, whatever that could mean. By now, though, the US government had become aware of the American's change in attitude and had mobilized the rest of the team to be ready to take him out. Before they could take the big man himself out, they had to take out the one person that would be loyal to him, his sidekick, Charlie, aka the young American. With the surprise attack, they put young superhero on the back foot and take out his girlfriend. Burner bragging the entire time as he does so, the pyrokinetic fueled by nothing other than spite and aggression. With no mercy and not even a hint of remorse, they execute the young playboy superhero alongside his girlfriend, well aware that both were innocent and had done nothing but pose as a hypothetical obstacle and a witness respectively. If you hadn't gotten the vibe yet, these are not good people. It's at this point in the story that we head over to the White House. Inside, the president, who is literally just George Bush, is busy being his usual self. While unaware that his former teammates are killing his former sidekick, American is standing in front of the White House, preparing for something. His thoughts focused and clear, and the man clearly has a goal in mind. The question is, what exactly? After taking some time to think to himself, the American rises into the sky, his costume a silent announcement of his presence to the people inside and outside of the White House. While the people outside are excited and surprised, the people inside the White House are not quite so thrilled to see their flagship patriotic superhero suspended in the air. The president is well aware that there's nothing they can do to run away from or fight the American, and so the man eventually comes to the decision to go outside and talk to the hero himself, or at least he attempts to. You gotta give it to him, the man did try to talk. The American, however, decided to choose a different venue to have the conversation, roughly 10,000 feet in the air to be specific. The conversation they have is rather intense, as the American lays into the president for his abuse of power, his lies, and the raw corruption and crimes he's had to witness as the nation's hero for the last 2 decades of his life. The American's words are broadcast to the American people, as his friend Isaac hijacks television signals to get the hero's message out to the people. However, the president mocks him for it, making fun of his ideals, his life's work, and everything his country forced him into doing. The president then directly tells the American that they've killed his sidekick for doing nothing wrong but being a potential threat. You'd think that's a very stupid thing to do, wouldn't you? Well, you'd be right. Very, very, very right. Anyway, issue 1 ends with the president having wished he brought his brown pants on live TV, after barely being saved from a fall to his death. I'm choosing to stop here at issue 1 because I don't want to spoil the remaining 5 issues for you, but I do want you to understand how great of a comic Cla War is. Despite only the first arc being finished, the first 6 issues out of a supposed 12, Cla War still feels like a complete miniseries and an amazing politically themed story for you to enjoy. Very little of what the US does in the comic could even be seen as an exaggeration, given what we now know of the various scandals and hidden agendas the US and its agencies have engaged in. It adds a touch of realism to what many would have seen as just another superhero story back in 2002, albeit an edgy one. So do yourself a favor and read Cla War. You won't regret it. That's all for now. Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of Digital Whiteface. This video was not monetized, as my channel no longer is, but I wanted to make this anyway because I like making video essays. I appreciate you guys giving it a watch, and if you feel like it, you can write in the comments below any other comics or topics you'd like me to do a video on. I'll see if I can't add it to the list. See you soon.